Okay, pathogenic microorganism transmitted by water. So we have been discussing about the importance of good quality water. What will be the problem if water is polluted or water is contaminated? Now we have to see what are the common type of pathogenic pathogens. Pathogen means something that causes disease causing bacteria or microorganisms that exist in water. So one type is the amoebiasis. You might have heard about amoebiasis. And usually amoebiasis is caused by a bacteria known by the name Entamoeba histolytica. So you have to remember the name of the bacteria as well as the name of the disease. Then symptoms to some extent are similar. You can easily explain. So just remember what is the name of the disease as well as what is the name of the bacteria. It is a protozoan. Protozoan means it is different from amoeba or virus. Protozoans are similar to the, you have when we are studying animal classification in school classes. Also in plus 2 classes, we have studied about phylum, protozoa. Protozoa you might have said. So these are under the protozoa amoeba comes. So these are amoeba-like organisms. And what the name is Entamoeba histolytica, very much similar to an amoeba. It is a single-celled or unicellular organism. And commonly it is present in sewage. You know what is a sewage? Or non-treated drinking water. Non-treated drinking water means water which is not treated with chlorine or ozone or other kinds of chemicals. Such a water is known as non-treated drinking water. Then the water containing flies, then also in the saliva. These are the important sources of this Entamoeba histolytica. And the problem or the symptoms caused by this disease known by the name amoebiasis is abdominal discomfort, especially abdominal pain. Then fatigue. Fatigue means extreme form of tired. Person will feel tired. Then weight loss will be there. And along with that, there will be frequent diarrhea. And diarrhea is actually caused by this bacteria, this protozoan infection. Then bloating. Bloating means a feeling of inflammation. Then fever. So these are some of the symptoms of this disease known by the name amoebiasis. So amoebiasis is a very common type of disease that comes by drinking contaminated water. So there are different types of pathogenic microorganisms. One common type of microorganism is Entamoeba histolytica, and that is causing the amoebiasis. And the symptom or the disorder it causes abdominal discomfort as well as diarrhea. Now another common type is also a protozoan. The name of that protozoan is Giardia lamblia. So remember the name as well as the type. And that is also almost similar to Entamoeba histolytica. It is present in untreated water. Then poor disinfection. That is, water is treated, but if the amount of chlorine is not sufficient, or if you are boiling water, you are not boiling the water completely. You are not giving enough time. You are just like when you go to a hotel, they will pour hot water into a glass of cold water, and they will be giving you. That kind of disinfection is not a complete disinfection. Still the bacteria may be there. So pipe breaks. That is sometimes the pipe that is going to soil has some opening or breaks. Through that breaks or leaks, bacteria can enter into the pipe water. Then contamination of the groundwater. How groundwater contamination? In the last class I have been discussing about the flooding to the sewage toilet tanks or septic tank. From the septic tank, the contaminated water can also enter the well water. Then where human beings as well as wildlife are using the same source of water. Sometimes human beings are drinking water from a river. From the same river, animals may be also drinking water. So whatever type of bacteria or pathogens which are present in animal's body or animal's mouth can reach the river water, and from the river water If the human beings are drinking that river water without any kind of treating or without boiling or otherwise chemically treating, that will result in bacteria and protozoan can easily reach can reach human beings. So that is the problem. Then beavers and muskrats create ponds that act as reservoirs of giardia. These are a type of mammals. Beaver, you might have heard about beaver. It is a dam building type of mammal. And similar mammal which are similar to rats are known as muskrats. They have a habit of storing water or creating small ponds. And in that small ponds created by the beaver, there is a strong possibility that this protozoan giardia may be existing. Now, what are the type of symptoms? Symptoms you can see at the last paragraph, mainly diarrhea and abdominal discomfort. So, all these pathogenic microorganisms are mainly affecting your stomach or intestine, and the main symptom may be diarrhea or abdominal discomfort. Along with the diarrhea and abdominal discomfort, there will be fever and tiredness. So, these are the common symptoms. So, that is why I told him remember the name of the bacteria as well as the name of the name of the disease. So then the remaining points are somewhat similar to all the organisms. Now here also you can see a picture of how this bacterial infection or this protozoan infection is working. We'll come to that later. The third type is the cholera. Another type of bacteria. Cholera is actually a bacteria. First two Giardia as well as Entamoeba are both protozoans. Whereas this is a bacteria. Now, the name of the bacterium is the Vibrio cholera. That is why the name disease is known by the name cholera. And basically, it is affected. It is by drinking contaminated water. That is water which is polluted or contaminated containing this bacteria. If a person is drinking contaminated water, then he or she may get this disease known by the name cholera. Now, this is a very problematic disease. The symptoms include watery diarrhea. Watery diarrhea means very loose form of diarrhea. The motion and the stool may be very loose, containing and mostly water in color, or sometimes the color of a rice water. So that is a watery diarrhea. A lot of water will be lost from your body in a few hours. Then nausea. Nausea means vomiting sensation. In Malayalam, okana. Then muscle cramps will be there. Muscle cramps because when water is lost from your body, that will be affecting the amount of minerals in your body, especially calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium. When any variation in these minerals are taking place, that will be affecting the functioning of your muscle, and you will be having a very severe form of muscle pain or muscle cramps. And that is another symptom. Now that is the result of this loss of this body minerals. Then bleeding from your nose. That is another symptom. Then high or increased pulse rate. That is a sign that the body is in an emergency. That is when then the pulse may increase. Along with that, vomiting will be there. Then hypovolemic shock. Hypovolemic shock means if lot of water is lost from your body doesn't have enough water. And in such a situation, body will be experiencing extreme shortage of water. In such extreme shortage of water, this kind of problem will be occurring. Hypo means very low volume, very low amount of water is creating a situation known by the hypovolemic shock, at which point death can occur in 12 to 18. That is why I told you cholera is a very dangerous disease. Even though it is a bacterial disease, if it is not treated in time, if antibiotics are not given at the right time, within 24 hours person may die. So that's a very in earlier times, cholera was a major cause of death in Kerala as well as in other parts. So now cholera is not a problem because now we have antibiotics against cholera, So if the disease is diagnosed, doctors will quickly give the antibiotic, and most of the people the patient can be saved. But if the treatment is not given in time, you know that the only you will get only nearly 24 hours. Within 24 hours, a person can die. So that is the case of cholera. Then another type is E. coli infection. We have been discussing about the different type of coliform bacteria, and only one, few types of E. coli. I think in the last class I have mentioned about that type. Only one type of E. coli known as E. coli 0157 colon H7. Only that strain of E. coli is causing this infection. Every strain of E. coli is not problematic. Only few specific strains of E. coli can cause this E. coli infection. So only certain strains of E. coli, and in this case, the water will be contaminated with the bacteria. And what are the symptoms? Most of the time, it will be diarrhea. Diarrhea is the most common symptom for in the case of E. coli. So, in all the case, in all these pathogenic diseases, the common symptom is diarrhea or dysentery or vomiting, and can cause death in immunocompromised individuals. Means when a person is having when a very old person or very young person, sometimes in some people their immunity may not be working properly. So you might have heard about the case of AIDS. If AIDS is attacking you, infecting you, the immunity of the person will be at a very low level. Then all the mild diseases will be attacking the person, causing so many other diseases along with the AIDS. And most of the time, person may be dying because of some pneumonia-related diseases. So similarly, in a person whose immunity is very low, because the body cells, the blood cells are responsible for giving you immunity or protection is not working properly. There are type of body cells called WBC, and under the WBC we have different types of WBC called neutrophil, lymphocyte, monocyte. Some of these cells may not be working properly, and in such an individual their immunity is not working very well. So that is why such kind of persons are known by the name immunocompromised. That is, their immunity is not working. They don't have any immunity against disease. So then normally this happens in very young children as well as in very old patients, and their body may be weak. Sometimes when heart attack or stroke or other kinds of disease take place, the immunity of the person can be very low. Then many kind of infection can occur in the patient, and the patient can die within 1 week or 2 weeks. So that is why in the case of immunocompromised individual, very young or elderly, due to dehydration from prolonged illness. Sometimes dehydration, what is dehydration? Simply means lack of water in your body. Lack of water. When water is, because if you take your body, nearly 60% of your body is formed of water. Or in some case 70%. So if that water is lost from your body cells may not be able to work properly. So that is the problem. So E. coli infection is occurring in normal case for a healthy person, for a healthy adult person who is in younger ages, it won't be causing any problem. But for very for very old person as well as young children, also the immunocompromised people, they will be having this problem caused by E. coli infection. Then we have dysentery as well as there are two types of dysentery. One type of dysentery is caused by Shigella, and another type is caused by Salmonella. And according to type of bacteria, you can either call it as Shigella dysentery or Salmonella dysentery. So basically, dysentery is a diarrhea. Dysentery or and in both cases, it is due to drinking contaminated water containing either Shigella or Salmonella. And frequent passage of feces with blood. That is, in the motion or in your feces, there will be blood cells. That indicates that some kind of bleeding is occurring inside your stomach or inside your intestine. Then that is the reason for the presence of blood in your feces. So presence of blood in the feces is an indication that it is dysentery. I mean, normally we call it a diarrhea as a dysentery only when blood is present in the motion or in the stool. If blood is present in the stool or motion, then we call it as a dysentery. Other, if there is no blood, we call it as only diarrhea. So there is slight difference between diarrhea. Diarrhea with the blood is known as a dysentery or mucus, and in some cases vomiting of blood. So this so if a person is vomiting blood or a person is passing blood along with the motion, then it is an indication of dysentery. And most of the time, bacteria responsible for dysentery is either Shigella or Salmonella. Then here also you can see how the cholera is spreading and how cholera can be affecting the person. This is about the diagram of a cholera bacteria. So here you can see what are the different types of symptoms also and what are the organs which are usually affecting by cholera. Then here also another case of infection, diagram showing the infection of E. coli. Enterohemorrhagenic bacteria. Wherever you hear the term entero means related with intestine. Enterohemorrhagic. Hemorrhagic means causing bleeding or something related with the blood. So enterohemorrhagic bacteria means it causes intestinal bleeding. So that kind of only one special strain of E. coli is causing that. And here you can see that what are the infection sources, mainly from cattle, uncooked meat or raw milk. Then fruits and vegetables can be a source. Here they have written the bacteria die when food is exposed to heat, 70 degrees centigrade or higher. So if you are eating food before heating the food, you are slightly warming the food, either using cooking, either by using your gas stove or using a micro oven. You can easily reach the temperature of 70 degrees. At a temperature of 70 degrees, most of these bacteria will die. So it is not good to eat a food which is cold or which is kept open for a long time. Always cook the food. Advantage of warming the food is that many of the bacteria can die. In the kitchen, most of the day you might have noticed your mother's warming the food. If there is a curry that is prepared in the morning, maybe around 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, she will be again warming that curry again. If she is not doing that, that curry may get spoiled because what happens, the bacteria can multiply. So warming the food or cooking it again can kill many of the bacteria. So that is what they have mentioned here. Here you can see the common type of symptoms, stomach and diarrhea, fever. Almost all of them we have already discussed. This is a picture of the bacteria E. coli. Then complication, hemolytic uremic syndrome. Hemolytic uremic syndrome means in your urine blood will be appearing. That is hemolytic uremic syndrome. And the chance of death is 3 to 5%. So even though E. coli is a harmless bacteria, certain strains can cause problem, especially in immunocompromised and old and young children. Then next type is leptospirosis. You might have heard about leptospirosis because it is a common disease right now. Then it is caused by a genus known as Leptospira. In Malayalam we call it Elipani. This is leptospirosis. Then water is contaminated by animal urine carrying the bacteria. The problem is that rats are very efficient in multiplying. If rats are present in a water and if rats are entering into your water tank, they will be passing the urine, and the urine of the rat, urine of the mice will be containing this bacteria called Leptospira. So it is caused by a bacteria known by the name Leptospira. That is one gene. That is a genus responsible for this disease known by the name Leptospirosis, and it is also known by Wales disease. Then what happens is that the symptoms usually start with the flu-like symptom. Flu means there will be fever, and just like as in the case of corona, that's a kind of flu. So that kind of symptoms will be there. That is in the beginning stage, and as the disease is progressing, sometimes the brain may be infected. If the brain is infected, then it is causing meningitis. Meningitis means there is an outer covering to your brain. That outer covering of the brain is known by the meninges or meninges membrane. And if there is some kind of infection to this outer covering of the brain, that will be causing a type of fever known by the name brain fever. So there is meningitis. And another complication is that this leptospira bacteria can attack your liver cell and it can damage your liver. Then that will be causing jaundice. So liver is unable to function, and there will be jaundice or yellow colored skin, yellow colored eyes, yellow colored urine, yellow colored feces. Then there will be failure of the kidney. So that excretory material cannot be released from your body. So this is why this leptospirosis is a dangerous disease. Even though it is a bacterial disease, it can cause a lot of complication. You might have heard about the complication from L20. So that is the another bacteria known by the name leptos. So it's a dangerous disease also. Then we have typhoid fever. Going to the typhoid fever, typhoid is actually caused by a bacteria known by the name Salmonella typhi. Salmonella typhi. Now here also the main reason is ingestion. Ingestion means drinking or eating or taking in something. That process is known as ingestion. Either by drinking or through eating, ingestion of water or drinking of water contaminated with the feces of the infected person. How the feces of the infected person can reach? Mainly by leak in the septic tank. If the septic tank is flooded during the rainy season, that water can reach the well water or drinking water source. So that is the most common type of source reason responsible for the typhoid fever. So characterized by sustained fever up to 40 degree. Here you can see in Fahrenheit they have mentioned is 104. Very high fever. Even though if it is 101 or 102, you know what will be the difficulty. So it's a 104-degree Fahrenheit fever. It's a very high fever, and profuse sweating and diarrhea may be occurring. So along with a very intense, very high fever, there will be sweating, then there will be diarrhea also. As the symptoms are progressing, there is delirium. Delirium means the very high fever can affect the functioning of the brain, and the person can act like a mad person. His mental abilities may be partially affected, and the person can go into a kind of a delirium. That is, just like a mad person is behaving, he also will be behaving. That is a delirium. Then the spleen and liver can enlarge. So that is, the typhoid can also attack two organs in your body. One is liver as well as spleen. Spleen is the organ responsible for the protection of the blood as well as destruction of the blood cells. And in this case, it can last 4 weeks and cause death. So here you can see the typhoid. Right now, it is not a dangerous disease because all kinds of bacterial disease can be treated with antibiotic. The corona becomes a problem because corona is not a bacterial disease. It is caused by a virus. So viruses are very difficult to treat with the help of a medicine. Right now we don't have any medicines against virus, but we have medicines against antibiotics. We have medicines against almost all the bacteria. So if it is a bacterial disease, it can be easily treated. If it is a viral disease, we don't have right now. We don't have any treatment option. The what doctors are giving is supportive treatment. So then in this case, it can last to 4 weeks and cause death. So typhoid, just like leptospirosis and typhoid is also a dangerous disease. Some people with the typhoid fever develop a rash called rose spots. Then when a person is having this intense high fever, there may be presence of red spots all over your body. So small red spots on the abdomen as well as on your chest. So that is also a sign that the disease is typhoid. So that is the third type of disease. And another type of disease. Now we have hepatitis A. You might have heard about different types of hepatitis. In almost all the hepatitis is usually affecting your liver. So it can manifest itself in water. So most common type of hepatitis, there are different types of hepatitis A, hepatitis B, hepatitis C. Hepatitis B is a very dangerous form of hepatitis. In most of the person, hepatitis B may not be creating any problem, but in a very few individuals, hepatitis B can cause a liver damage or liver cancer. So that is why hepatitis is always very famous. But there is one type of, but in this hepatitis A normally is not a dangerous disease. But it can, symptoms are fatigue, fever, abdominal pain, nausea, diarrhea, weight loss, then itching all over your body, then jaundice. Jaundice is caused by liver damage, and along with that, there will be depression also. These are some of the major problems associated with hepatitis. Now, hepatitis is caused by a virus. That is hepatitis A virus. Just like there are three types of hepatitis A, B, C. So this is a hepatitis A is usually caused by contaminated water. Now, next one is a poliomyelitis. Right now, you are not aware of the problems of polio, but in earlier times, you might have noticed, especially in older people, some people have their legs very thin, and most of the time it may be caused by polio infection. So polio used to be a major problem of debility, no, what you call disability. It makes the most of the time it affects the nerves. So it enters the water through feces of infected person. So that is why proper sealing, proper maintenance of septic tank. So earlier in India, right now in Kerala, almost all the houses people are using toilets. But if you go to North India, I think still around 25% of the people are using open defecation. That is, they are not using toilets. They go to any open ground and passing the stools there. That is open defecation. That is still a problem in many parts of India. So that will be leading to the bacteria present in the soil can reach water sources, river or well, and that is how this poliomyelitis type, these kind of bacteria reach to drinking water sources. So it's a major problem. Even Modi was talking about this open defecation once. Right now he is not talking much, but that is still a major problem for the presence or cause of this open poliomyelitis as well as typhoid. So 90 to 95% patients show no symptoms. That is, if a polio virus is entering you, only 5% of the people will be having any problem. For remaining 90% will not have any symptom. That is the case of hepatitis B also. And 4 to 8% have minor symptoms with delirium. Delirium means a mental performance will be affected. Headache will be the fever, occasional seizure. Seizure means abasmaram. Abasmaram എന്നാണ് seizures എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. Then spastic paralysis. That is part of your body can be paralyzed. തളർന്നു പോവുക. That is the paralysis. So these are the problems of poliomyelitis. Most of the time it is affecting the nerves going to the legs. So when a person is having polio, his legs are usually paralyzed. So that is the problem of poliomyelitis. One person has symptoms of non-paralytic aseptic meningitis. Meningitis simply means a kind of brain fever. I told you meninges are membranes covering your brain. Then rest have a serious symptom resulting either paralysis or death. So right now we have vaccination against this polio, and because of the vaccine, majority of people, almost all the people are well protected. And you know polio vaccine, how the polio drop vaccine drops are given. Still now it was a common practice in India. Now I think polio is completely eradicated from India. So here you can see how the polio is affecting and what is the type of bacteria. Here you can see 90% have no symptoms. So only in the case of almost all the disease, majority of the people, even in the case of corona, it is affecting only few percentage of people. 80 to 90% of the people can easily overcome the corona without much complication. But in few percent of the people, it can become dangerous and even lead to death. So that is the case in the case of polio also. Now we have next is bioindicators which we will be discussing in the next class. So this is a major important topic also for your examination. Keep in your mind what are the important pathogenic microorganisms transmitted by water. For the examination also it is an important question.